We have been in the midst of an exciting journey talking to Brad Black and watching him rebuild and restore his 1965 Ford Custom. A vehicle he took ownership when it was in dire need of restoration. It was just simply a mess. Pastor Brian and I, of course, have been drawing parallels into our faith and how we too, like this 65 Ford Custom, are messes. Messes that God has taken a hold of to work a grand restoration process in order, of course, to bring us back to the original masterpiece that we were initially created to be. Now, Brad, part of the process of restoring this vehicle is working to rebuild and restore the engine and transmission. Can you kind of talk about how you go about doing that?
Well, before I ever tear the car apart, I check the engine because it's hard to test run an engine sitting on a stand. So while it's still in the car, I check the compression, check the oil pressure, look for leaks, that type of stuff. And then I determine where I need to go from there. You know, if the compression's bad, got to tear it apart. Got lucky here. Compression was good at 125 all the way around, and it had great oil pressure. So somebody took real good care of this engine. When I tore the pan off and the valve covers off, the oil was clean. There wasn't a lot of sludge in it, so I said, let's roll with that. Yeah. So, you know, basically everything that was on the car except for the carburetor and this alternator is what was on it originally. Just clean, repaint, you know, do it all, and it's going to be a great motor. It really is. Yeah. It's a 390 cubic inch, around 300 horsepower. Not a monster motor, but light car. So
it sounds like you lucked out with this particular engine, but how much commitment does it take to rebuild or restore an engine in a car that's 50 years old?
A lot. It's very precise. You know, you're talking really tight gaps, especially on the main bearings, the rod bearings, rods, piston rings, that type of stuff, valve clearances, things like that. So all that's typically done by a machine shop. I send them out to a machine shop, but I tear them apart and put them back together.
You sound like you're a detail-oriented person.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah, I am. I love doing this stuff. I don't know why, but I always do the motor first, and it's the last thing to go back in the car, one of the last things. But when it's out, I can't stand looking at a dirty motor or a bad motor, so I just do that. And I did the same thing to the transmission, so we're good to go there.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of busted knuckles.
How many hours would you say you put into an engine, rebuilding or restoring an engine?
20.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, about 20 hours, yeah, something like that. So that's if everything goes right.
Sounds good. Well, thank you. You know, Brad has just shared with us how hard, at times even painstaking, it is to rebuild, restore vital pieces of this car in order to put it back together. Well, guess what? The same is true with us. In order to be rebuilt or restored into the original masterpiece that God created us to be, friends, it takes effort, it takes commitment, it takes discipline. Now, thankfully, we have the tools necessary for the work to be done. We call those tools spiritual disciplines. Things like worship, prayer, scripture reading, service to the greater world. All things are crucial to restore and make us whole. The Bible tells us in Philippians that the one who began a good work in us, that one being God, will bring it to completion on the day of Jesus Christ. Friends, we have the confidence that if we do our part, guess what? God's certainly going to do His.